Siphoners have one of the most powerful abilities in the Vampire Diaries universe, which is the very hacks ability called Siphoning. Now, what is Siphoning and why is it so powerful? Siphoning or channeling is the magical art of absorbing magic from another source into yourself, either to perform a spell or to make yourself more powerful. However, although the terms siphoning and channeling both mean the same thing, we as the fandom came to separate the two terms to distinguish between channeling which are done by witches, which are just called channeling, and channeling which are done by siphoners, which are called siphoning. Channeling done by witches is almost always done through a spell or expression. Channeling by siphoners, however, is the complete opposite, as siphoners don't need spells or expression to channel people. All they need is physical contact. Siphoners can channel anything that possesses magic just by touching it. This includes other magical beings or magical objects. This is so unbelievably powerful because every single powerful being in the verse, like even if you drop all the way down to the top 500 most powerful beings, they are all that powerful through magic, and siphoners can steal power from every single one of them from just a touch. This even includes gods, as we've seen Lizzie siphon off both Ken and Jen in Legacies. Siphoners are so powerful that they are capable of siphoning any and all pre-existing spells. For example, barrier spells like what happened when the twin siphon of Bonnie's barrier spell in season 7, and when Kai siphoned off the entirety of the anti-magic barrier in Mystic Falls. They can even siphon magic lingering in someone's mind, like in the case of Oscar siphoning the visions Bonnie was seeing after she attempted to magically investigate the Phoenix Stone. This allowed him to also see the visions that Bonnie was seeing. Siphoners can also siphon out entire beings, however only when they are wandering spirits, as in spirits that exist on the mortal plane. But as far as I can remember, this was only done once for the Hollow. The likely reason for this is because the entirety of a spirit will be comprised of magic. Siphoners also have shown the ability to transfer spirits or power from one person to another through the exact same scene when they did it to the Hollow. The ability of siphoning could also be used offensively, one through obviously using a magic source or temporarily give them the ability to perform magic, and in the case of the heretics, can use the magic source in their blood as a permanent way to perform magic. And also, as with channeling, it's give and take. As you siphon, you are actively draining the magic source you are drawing from, thus meaning that if they draw for too long from a being, it can stun or knock them unconscious, and with vampires could outright desiccate them through draining the magic source in their blood. However, just as much as siphoning grants siphoners a ridiculous amount of advantages, they also have a few disadvantages, the biggest one obviously being the reason why siphoners are viewed negatively by the Gemini Coven, which is that they aren't born with any innate magic at all. Meaning, without the siphoning ability, they are just as dangerous as any human, as they can only wield magic through siphoning, and the magic they do siphon from an external source cannot stay in their body permanently. The magic siphon slowly drains out of their body over time until it's down to zero. Finally, like with channeling, if siphoners draw any more power than their body can take, it could stun them or probably even kill them. An example of this is when Lizzie tried to actually siphon off Ken's magic when Ken was fighting off Hope, and she nearly died doing it. This is mainly because this is way too much power for her alone to be able to actually handle, hence why it caused her that much of an effect. Just like how a witch that channeled too much power all at once could kill them, is the exact same rule for siphoners. But anyways, like with werewolves, siphoners can also become hybrids when they actually become vampires. And siphoners are the only witches that can actually become vampires other than Hope. Mainly because, like I said earlier on, they don't have an innate amount of magic. They don't have magic to lose, and vampirism doesn't take away their siphoning ability, hence allowing them to actually become hybrids. Which is why siphoners can actually still use their magic while still being a vampire. Mainly because they can actually draw from the source of their blood, which has magic in it. Which is how heretics were actually created. Now, there are two big questions that people tend to ask about siphoners, which are how and why they are siphoners, and why do they sometimes use incantations to draw in power. Well, the first question never really received an explanation. We just know certain members of the Gemini Coven are born without the ability to perform magic due to them not having a magical source of their own. They can only do magic after they draw from a magical source. Also, as far as we know, it's only members or descendants of the Gemini Coven that can actually become siphoners, and it's also something that you only can get from birth, as in you can't get it later on in life. You're either born with it or you're not. And finally, Siphoners are seen more of like cursed witches by the Gemini Coven, hence why they usually get ostracized by the Coven, like what happened with Kai and the other heretics. Now, in terms of them using incantations, in the case of Kai, when he used an incantation to siphon off the entire anti-magic barrier in Mystic Falls, the reason for this is likely due to the sheer amount of magic they will be drawing into their body. This is made even more apparent when the twins used the exact same incantations when they were siphoning the spirit of the Hollow out of Hope and putting it into Klaus.
What happened to his chains? Is he chanting?
Utera, also Utux.
Magia Telax de Terras. Magia Telax de Terras. Magia Telax de Terras.
But anyways, now let's look at all of the individual Siphoners, whether being heretics or just regular Siphoners.
Alright girls, just like I taught you. Now hold my hands and concentrate. Now girls!
Incendia.
The Saltzman twins, being Lizzie and Josie Saltzman, are two of the most popular characters in the Vampire Diaries universe and were in all three shows and serve as two of the main characters of Legacies. The twins are the children of Alaric Saltzman and Giselle Laughlin and were known to be siphoners even before they were even born, as they were accidentally siphoning the magic from their surrogate mother, Caroline, to the point she actually began desiccating until she was helped by Bonnie and Valerie. After being born, the twins became very skilled witches, especially due to the fact they were trained by Celine, a powerful psychic, and Bonnie, one of the most powerful witches of all time. Josie seems to be easily recognizable as the more powerful and the more skilled witch of the two, although Lizzie is still quite skilled, especially when it comes to siphoning, as like I said earlier on, she siphoned two gods being Ken and Jen, and like I said earlier on, she also siphoned the Hollow, along with Josie. Josie, she's shown to be the more intelligent of the two and naturally more gifted on magic. She's also shown the ability to absorb magic blast mid-air, even from a powerful being like Hope, and was shown being able to siphon holes through a dimension. However, these were both done after she siphoned off the extremely dark magic source of the Moral Miserium, which made her a lot more powerful.
Family massacred in Portland. The only one missing was the oldest boy, the 22-year-old named Malachi.
My name's a kid Malachi. I thought they expected me to be evil.
All these kids were murdered.
Hello? Not everyone died. I had a soft spot for one of my sisters. Otherwise, I would have cut her lungs out, and not just her spleen.
What?
You can survive without a spleen.
Something tells me you're not speaking hypothetically.
Look, well, these two, I hung off the stairwell railing. Then I put a hunting knife in her abdomen. And him, I drowned in the pool. But he kept fighting me, and I was like, I saved you for last, you ungrateful little... Anyway, that was that.
You just killed your whole family?
Coven, to be precise. Oh, you know, family of witches.
You've been making her jump through hoops and you're a witch?
Sort of, yeah. No powers, obviously.
Kai is a very powerful and psychotic Siphoner that is the twin brother of Joe, older brother of Luke and Liv, and uncle of the Saltzman twins. Kai is the only Siphoner that actually was granted the ability to permanently store magic in his body. However, this is through a loophole, being the merge, which Kai did with Luke, in which he won and in turn took all of Luke's powers and making it his own permanently, after becoming the leader of the Gemini Coven. This in turn makes him not only one of the most powerful witches of all time after he absorbed both the power of Luke and Joe, but he becomes one of the most deadliest witches as he still maintains his siphoning ability, on top of the fact that he's still an extremely powerful witch, and is also one of the most cunning characters in the verse. However, the loophole of the merge allowing Siphoners to become full witches is only applicable if the person the Siphoner is merging with has innate magic, and as the merge makes you into a single being, you also get that innate magic. If two Siphoners merge, they wouldn't get this loophole, however. Kai eventually became a heretic, a vampire witch hybrid, thus causing him to lose all of the magic he would have accrued from Joe and Luke, but trading that for the power source that exists in his vampire blood.
Before the 1900s, your mother fell in with a group of witches that were cast out of the Gemini Coven. They were known as heretics, Siphoners, like Kai. But not just that. Lily turned them, resulting in creatures that are both witch and vampire.
But that's not possible. Vampires can't be witches.
These are witches that have magic only when they siphon power from another source. As vampires,
They have a constant source. They can siphon off of themselves.
they were on their way to destroy the Gemini, but the Coven got to them first, put them into exile. Heretics are ruthless. Vampires with witch power, an aberration of nature. They can never be allowed to escape. Imagine Kai with the bloodlust of a vampire. Now imagine 6 of them.
The Heretics are a powerful coven of witches led by the vampires Lily, Salvatore, and Julian. They were all vampire witch hybrid through the loophole of Siphoners not possessing any innate magic and vampirism not removing their siphoning ability, thus allowing them to siphon the magic in their blood. There are 6 of them, being Valerie, Nora, Mary Louise, Oscar, Bo, and Malcolm, and every single one of them are viewed as aberrations or abominations of nature that contradicts a massive pre-existing law of being a witch, which is that you can't be seen as an abomination by being a vampire while still being technically a witch, making them heretical witches, hence the term heretics. Now with the heretics, it's very apparent Valerie is easily the most powerful and also the most respected out of all of them, with Bo being the physically strongest combatant out of the 6. But anyways, the Heretic Coven are just one of the many covens in the Vampire Diaries universe. If you want to learn more about the rest of the covens, then click on the video that's on screen now.